Hi, Jaff. Jaff, let us see your face now.
Yeah, you were not here yesterday now. You could see me yesterday.
I did see video yesterday. Oh, okay, you were there.
Oh, at the beginning. One day.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Guy.
Yeah, I cannot hear you.
Okay, I activate my phone now.
Okay. I have 36 people outside.
Wait till 9 now.
How much?
Let them wait. Let me
Huh?
remove them.
How much?
36.
36. Okay.
So when you are ready,
Can you let me share my screen? Can you authorize me to share my screen?
Okay.
Even me, I need to try sharing my screen.
So yeah, I leave this meeting for you.
Jaff,
So,
don't go.
no, or if you want, I can read the protocol. Tell them if they don't change their name and country or institution, write their full name, they can be kicked out. Because
Jaff, just read the protocol.
we don't want somebody to come in and from somewhere else. So they should write their names.
Okay.
Do people do that?
I don't know. And this, the facilitators or the trainers, they are supposed to be here now. Then we organize before we start letting these guys in.
Yes, normally, yeah, Mr. Jose, who is the facilitator, I think he will be there soon.
I'm just checking the names, but I don't see
Spanish names.
Yeah, I saw one, Marta.
Maybe not.
Yeah, Marta.
You saw Marta. Yes. Marta, she's with Spanish.
She's in now.
Okay.
So, sorry guys. Who else?
Joan, Jose, Carmen.
I can't see anyone.
Wow, we are starting with renewable hydrogen. Wow.
Francois.
Alejandro. Maybe not all of them will come today. I don't know. Pablo, Lara. On the different days, maybe. Emilio.
Honestly, I'm not ready for. Gay.
Yes.
You read out the protocol, right?
Yes, I will read the protocol.
Okay, because I'm not dressed to show my video right now.
Zoom feelings. Jeff?
Yeah?
Please read the chat.
No, I responded to those problems. It's no problem. Some of them, they cannot calculate the time. They could not calculate properly the time. That's the problem. Some of them are at the waiting room. As soon as the meeting is ready, I let them in. But those ones that sent email, they were just logging in since like an hour ago or 2 hours ago. They could not make the difference between the time.
Normally it is clear.
Yeah. Mr. Gay, I want to recommend that you only share your PDF. When you click on share, don't share the screen, share only this PDF so that they don't see what is going on your screen. So to do it again, cancel it.
Okay.
No, stop it, share.
Share.
Then you see, check, you see that PDF.
Okay.
Just share, click on it and click OK.
Like that?
Yes, so they only see PDF now. They don't see any other thing on your computer.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
So I want to...
Yes. You want to leave?
No, I want to start letting them in.
Okay. But Mr. Barb to join us to do an opening.
Can you start reaching him, please?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hola, buenos días, Joan.
Ya.
¿Cómo estás?
Pues nada, esperando a empezar y parece que han resuelto una pequeña confusión horaria ahí con algunos.
Sí, sí. A ver si puedo subir el volumen de la voz del ordenador.
Morning,
Hello.
Gabe. How are you?
How are you, Wade?
Mr. Porter.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes. Okay, we will start on time, but yes.
Gay, I'm going to be very brief in my presentation.
Okay, yes. Okay,
Bearing in mind that your Mr.
Yes. Before that, yeah, I think we have the opening remark by our director, and we will present our structure. Yes, then you will have the floor to do the first session with Mr. Jose, as moderators.
For now, it's still the time.
Mr. Gay.
Yes.
So, it's 10 minutes to time. You give me the go-ahead to allow the participants. We have 39 people in the waiting room. So I can start allowing them in. You introduce the protocol. They should check their name and their country or their institution, or they'll be kicked out.
Okay, yeah.
You need to know who and who is in the meeting. And then read out the other protocol as sent to them.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look for the presenters, the trainers, to let them in on time, but I can't find any other one.
Yes, normally for today, the second trainer is Mr. Jose Manuel Dominguez. But I think he will join us after later. I don't know if he will join us now because he will, yeah. It will start at, yes, at 11.
Okay.
But Mr. Jose Mela, yes, have to be here.
So
now.
if you want, I can permit them. Can I let them in?
Yes, yes.
We
you
have
can
40. We have 40 now. It's just increasing.
Yes, yeah, we can let them because I think the number is, yes, is less than
Okay.
what can contain.
So I allow them in. I believe you are ready, and wish you all the best. I'll be here at the background supporting you in case there's any problem.
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget also, they don't have to say anything. They can just type. I think you should be monitoring the chat area for their questions and
yes.
Yes, Jose Mila will do it. He will do it when the first session will start. He will monitor all the question. Then, yeah.
What can I do is, Joan, is pay attention to the chat area.
Hello, Mr. Jose. You are present? I didn't hear you.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Chat area.
And you see me.
Yes, I see you now.
So I'm saying that I will pay attention to the chat area in order to provide the questions to Joan Puertas, the trainer.
Yes.
Mr. Gay, they are coming in now. The participants are coming in.
Okay, yes, let them come because I think Mr. Jose is here and the first trainer is here too.
So the order on the intervention, first, your director, then Aldeola, and then a couple of minutes I intervene and I introduce the trainer, Joan Portas.
Okay. Mr. Jose.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes.
Hello. I'm listening to you.
I say the director will do the opening session, opening remark.
Right.
And Adiola will present our structure. Then you will have the floor to do your introduction and you can introduce also the trainer. That's right?
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, don't forget, you start with the protocol.
Okay.
You welcome them and start with the protocol. Good luck.
Thank you.
I will say, referring to the protocol, that the questions and comments will be written in the chat area.
Yes. Yes. I will read the protocol before we start. When they will enter the conference, I will just share the protocol and I will just read it.
You will make the question, Mr. Wei?
No. The questions, we are talking about the questions or comments will be written by participants in the chat area.
Yes. Chat. It is in the protocol.
Okay.
And I pay attention to tell you the questions.
Okay, I read the question and answer the question by order, no?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. I think Mr. Jose, he will just check the chats and the questions. Just he will read the question for the trainer and the trainer will answer, right? Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this regional training, this regional online training on teaching and training on renewable energy technology for professional practitioners and university in ECOWAS region. I will just share and remind you the protocol I sent to you for all the participants. So for identification purpose, during this meeting, please ensure to write your name, your full name, your real name, and you will follow your institution. All of you, I think this is the first thing you have to do.
I have sent my name, Robin Fuller Mansari, Minister.
So that we can identify you. Second thing, please accept when you are speaking, but I think you will not be allowed to speak in this session. For the participant, please mute your microphone at all the time. Please, all the participants, except who is talking and the trainer, mute all your microphone, please. Third, this meeting will be recorded for reporting purpose. And four, I think we have a lot of training. So for intervention or any question, all the participants are kindly requested to use the chat area. It will be monitored by the moderator, Mr. Jose Miller, and respond to as per the time, because I think the time will not be enough. If not, the request of question will be answered by the trainer and will be sent to all the participants' email. So, five, if for some reason you could not hear or speak, kindly leave and rejoin the meeting. It is easy. For the trainers, okay, trainers should hand over to share the screen and turn on video while making the presentation. Moderator should always look at the chat area to find the question, and I think for the trainer to respond. This protocol was shared to all the participants. I think you will use the protocol so that the meeting, this training can move fast. We will start first by the opening remark by our director, executive director, Mr. Ba. He will join us in the moment. Then my colleague Adeola will present ECREEE, our institution. I think most of you don't know this institution, ECREEE. She will present ECREEE and ECREEE's activity, so that yes, you will all know this regional institution, and you can address all you want to us. Then I will give the floor to Mr. Professor Jose Miller to introduce the first trainer and moderate all the sessions. My name is Mr. ECREEE. I am Program Officer on Renewable Energy Technology at ECREEE. We wait just 1 minute. When the director will join us, he will open the session and we will continue.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Basao, the Executive Director of ECREEE, is present.
Yes.
So I will give him the floor, to give the opening remark.
Okay. Good morning.
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 Good morning.
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 Yes. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Yeah,
Executive
welcome.
Director.
Yes.
Good
Thank
morning.
you very
Good
much.
morning.
Yeah. Good to hear
Good
all
morning.
of you, and good to see you. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for your interest in coming and participating in this virtual training. And therefore, I would like to use this opportunity to welcome all of you, and including our able training resource persons to this regional online teaching and training on renewable technologies for professionals, practitioners, and universities in the ECOWAS member states. Let me first of all thank AMENET, University Autónoma de Madrid, and Universidade Jean Piaget de Cabo Verde for their support in the organization of this training. As some of you may know, ECREEE was established in 2010 to promote the development of sustainable energy markets in the ECOWAS region. ECREEE's mission and objectives are the coordination of projects and programs relating to the promotion and development in the use of renewable energy resources, the increase in energy efficiency with a view to improve access to modern energy services and energy security in the member states. So the four core areas that we have been tasked or assigned are: one, sensitization and capacity building in the region in renewable energy and energy efficiency, harmonization of policies and quality assurance of renewable energy and energy efficiency services, research and technology transfer, as well as program development and resource mobilization. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore, to better exploit the region's enormous renewable energy resources and to better serve its people, ECREEE developed the ECOWAS renewable energy policies, energy efficiency policy, bioenergy policy, as well as gender mainstreaming in energy access, which were adopted by the ECOWAS heads of states and governments. So this will address capacity gaps at the level of public policy makers and the lack of technical creation, a capacity building program which allows
Hello. Hello. apologize. I had internal issue. Please, for participants to write your name, you have to go in the participant area, and you will see rename, and you will write your name. Please don't do it in the chat. Thank you. Thank you for Executive Director. I think we will move. My colleagues, Adiola will make a short presentation now on ECREEE's activities. Adiola.
So good morning, everyone. Just give me 1 minute to share my screen. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this online training for energy practitioners and professionals in the ECOWAS region. My name is Adiola Adebiyi. I'm also one of the program officers here at ECREEE. And I'll just like to take 2 minutes to just present or introduce ECREEE, because I know that we have many registered participants that might not know ECREEE as an institution and what we do. I also know that we have a lot of our colleagues and stakeholders from the region that we are familiar with on this training. So please just permit us for 2 minutes just to reintroduce ECREEE to everyone. As you all know, this training is ECOWAS stakeholders, energy stakeholders, practitioners, professionals from universities, different institutions. And I think what is important to know is that we have 376 million people in the region, and 54% of that population is residing in rural areas. Currently, the access to electricity is just about 52.3%, which is average, and access to electricity for people that are not on the grid is just about 2.5%. If we look at our total installed capacity in megawatts across the region, it's about 23,447 megawatts. And when we take a closer look on the percentage of renewable energy in this installed capacity, it's about 24% for renewable energy that includes large, medium, small hydropower, and just about 2% for new renewable energies. Like I said before, energy access is just about average across the region, but in countries it varies. So in some countries, for example, like Cape Verde, they've achieved energy access of about 90.3%, while in countries like Liberia and Niger, it's about 8.1% or 12.7%. However, there's significant renewable energy resources in the ECOWAS region. We have a significant amount of bioenergy resources. We also have a significant amount of solar energy resources, like we all know, especially in the Sahel countries. We have a significant amount of hydropower potentials that is still untapped, even with the significant hydro that we have in the installed capacity now. And of course, slight wind potential across the coastal areas in the region. So I think all of these factors was the deciding factor for why ECREEE was established. One, the population access to energy is still average for all these decades, and even with significant renewable energy resources, we are still not able to close the energy access gap. So ECREEE was established in 2008, but formally inaugurated in 2010. Our secretariat, as many of you know, is based in Praia, Cape Verde, and we work with our national focal institutions, which are the directors of energies in all of the 15 ECOWAS countries. We are assigned as the C4All focal point for West Africa, or the ECOWAS countries, and we were established with the support, of course, of the EU, the Austrian Development Corporation, UNIDO, and the Spanish Corporation for Development. This is just a picture to show the official inauguration day with the ex-president of ECOWAS and the ex-prime minister of Cape Verde. So ECREEE has 5 result areas, and I think one important result area is to make sure that this institution itself
We lost Adiola. She will come back. I think she has an internet issue. Okay. Adiola, you can continue.
I'm so sorry. I think we're having some internet issues here in the office. Can everybody hear me now? Guy, is the network okay? Okay.
Yes, I hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also hear.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So the second result area is to ensure that there's tailored policy, legal and regulatory frameworks created and implemented in the countries. And of course, what we are doing today, continue to build capacities and strengthen capacities of ECOWAS member states and stakeholders, create knowledge, create awareness, raise networks and improve advocacy for renewable energy. And the most important, which the executive director also mentioned, was project development and finance, which we also call business and investment promotion. So since ECREEE was founded, we have developed 2 landmark regional policies that is guiding all the work that we are doing right now. These policies were adopted in 2013 by the ECOWAS heads of state, and ECREEE is currently...
Can you share your screen?
Is that okay now?
It's okay now.
Okay. So we are currently coordinating the implementation of these regional policies. I won't go much into details about the targets in the policies. The 2 policies are on the ECREEE website for anybody who wants to read in detail what the targets are. But I think one that I can highlight is that we want to have renewable energy in the electricity mix 10% by 2020, which we are already in.
Because here it's a problem.
Yeah. We're really sorry for all the interruptions. Network is really bad today. Lee, can I go on? Okay. Okay. So hopefully it doesn't go off anymore. So like I said, we want to see 19% of renewable energy in the total regional electricity mix by 2030.
Mommy.
And also we have energy efficiency targets. Energy efficiency targets that were set as well. For example, to reduce distribution losses in the regional, as a whole, not just in the countries, but as a whole, to 10% by 2020. So apart from the 2 regional policies that we've supported to develop, we've also supported all the 15 countries to develop what we call the National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency and C for All action agendas. And all these documents are complementing one another. They're very comprehensive. They look at technologies, they look at policy issues, and even cross-cutting issues such as gender mainstreaming in energy access. So based on those policies, ECREEE has specific regional activities that we implement. For example, we have some regional projects for off-grid. We have regional projects for grid-connected renewable energy. We also have a grant facility for small to medium-sized renewable energy enterprises. There's a whole project or program on improving the governance of renewable energy and energy efficiency in the West African sector. Many of you might have heard about the ECOWAS Regional Certification Scheme. We're also implementing that, and we also do some JEF projects. We have a small-scale hydropower program, a bioenergy program, and we are also implementing a solar thermal capacity building and demonstration program, including a clean cooking program. We also deal with issues, cross-cutting issues, such as capacity building, like has been mentioned by the executive director, gender mainstreaming in energy access, climate policy, and
that one is centered around maybe 5 items that they will do a certificate. People that in charge of CPS, system electoral operation. We are lining.
Guy, can I go on?
Yes, you can go on. We have a serious internet issue.
Yes, we're really sorry about that. So this is my last slide anyway. So just to talk about some key achievements of ECREEE. So since establishment, we have catalyzed investments of over 50 million euros in the energy sector. We've trained over 10,000 national stakeholders, both private and public sector actors, covering a wide range of renewable energy sector issues, development, technologies, including fundraising, access to finance. We supported electrification of 15,000 households across the region through our clean energy mini-grid programs and projects, as well as the RF project. We've enabled the production and distribution of about 290,000 improved cook stoves that has served about over 2 million people. And we've promoted energy efficiency measures with energy saving potential of about 1 megawatt. And currently we have just facilitated access to finance for women entrepreneurs of about $5 million. There's so many achievements, but I could only mention a few. And because of all this good work that ECREEE is doing in the West African region, we've been like they're trying to replicate ECREEE in other regions, such as Southern African region, the Caribbean region, the Pacific region, and UNIDO has supported the development of this type of institution in these regions. And my last slide, just to mention a couple of partners that we have, numerous, and we keep acquiring new partners every day to be able to achieve our mandate. So thank you very much. I'm sorry for all the interruptions.
Thank you, Adiola, for this presentation. We are sorry for the internet issue. Thank you, Adiola, again. So for the rest of the time, Professor Jose Mela will conduct the training. He will be the moderator for all the rest of the training session for the 4th day training. Professor Jose Mela, you have now the floor to present the trainer and moderate all the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I become a trainee.
Thank you, Mr. ECREEE. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Professor Mela of the University Autónoma of Madrid in Spain. I'm coordinator of AMENET. AMENET is the abbreviation of Africa, Mediterranean, and Europe network. It's a network of 14 African and European universities focused on the research of natural resources, renewable energies, and climate change, funded by the European Union. Dear audience, a picture of the new energy system is emerging. Therefore, this training will be focused on renewable electricity, such as wind, hydrogen, biofuels, and ocean power. Transversal topics such as climate change, rural electrification, and renewable auctions will be under debate as well. To move to a new energy system is crucial, based on fossil fuel-free energies. Let's go forward. This is the main target of this training, jointly organized by ECREEE, the University Jean Piaget of Cabo Verde, and AMENET. I wish you enjoy this training and learn as much as possible. You are in the right place to learn. Your trainers are excellent experts on the different topics. Thank you to all of them for their contributions. Thanks also to the ECREEE Executive Director, Mr. Basaho. Thanks also to the Rector of the University Jean Piaget of Cabo Verde, Mr. Zmeniak, and the officers Adiola Adebiji, Gay Kuihe, Gafaro Abdurrahman, and Alcides de Oliveira for their efforts. Participants are kindly requested to use the chat area for any intervention or comment. The first training is Mr. Joan Puertas, industrial engineer and coordinator of the Energy Committee, Catalonia's industrial engineers. I pass the floor to you, Mr. Puertas. So let's get started.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mella. Good morning to all of you. A cordial greeting to the attendees from the 15 countries present at the event. And I want, before to start, to thank ECREEE for giving me the opportunity to share with you these next 45 minutes speaking about hydrogen. You can share, excuse me, okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Can you see why hydrogen? Because hydrogen is not a reality now. That is true. But I want to try to convince all of you that the binomium renewables plus hydrogen could be the solution to the problems of energy in the world in this century. Europe has decided to be a free CO2 emissions area in 2050. Japan, Korea, and Australia have taken the same decision. Okay, and Europe's primary energy consumption in 2019 was 2,050 million tons of oil equivalent, and the 75% of this energy were fossil fuels. Europe could produce its electricity in 25 with renewable technologies. Is working to be self-producer of electricity in this time, but will be more difficult. Will be impossible that can substitute the 742 million oil equivalent that dedicate to mobility and the fraction of the 472 million tons oil equivalent of natural gas that use the industry. Normally, these fuels are petrol and natural gas. The consumption of electricity in Europe was around 2,500 terawatt-hours in 2019. And to produce this electricity with renewables, without storage devices, Europe will need approximately 2.5 terawatt of green power. 2.5 terawatt, 2,500 gigawatts of green power. It's a very big quantity. This generation park will produce approximately 3,350 terawatt-hours per year of surpluses. And the question is, what to do with this energy? One solution is to produce green hydrogen with this excess. As you know, hydrogen is like electricity and carrier, an energetic vector that can solve problems. Okay. Well, to show the commitment of Europe with the hydrogen, in 2018, European Union published the roadmap of hydrogen for Europe. This roadmap pretends to install 40 gigawatts of production of hydrogen in 2030. And in the screen, you can see an example. In June, the Prime Minister of Germany, Mrs. Angela Merkel, announced a plan to invest 7,000 million euros to develop hydrogen in Germany. And 10 days ago, the Prime Minister of Portugal and Spain announced another plan to invest 15,000 million euros in the Iberian Peninsula to the same objective. Okay. Well, what is hydrogen? Hydrogen is the most abundant chemical element in the universe, but unfortunately, it's not possible to find free in our planet. To obtain hydrogen now, it's necessary to split a molecule that contains it. The more common molecules are methane or water. Hydrogen is the element that has the highest calorific value by unit of mass, exactly 142 megajoules by kilogram. And on the other hand, is the lightest element. This is a problem because 1 liter of hydrogen has a weight of only 71 milligrams. Hydrogen has 3.5 more energy by mass than petrol and natural gas. 1 kilogram of hydrogen has 3.5 more energy than a kilogram of petrol or natural gas. And finally, hydrogen can be used mixed with CO2 to produce renewable synthetic fuels. Well, there are three forms to produce hydrogen, depending on the sources that you use for this finality. The more common now is to produce gray hydrogen. Gray hydrogen is produced splitting the molecule of natural gas in a chemical process. This process produces a big quantity of CO2. To produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen is necessary at minimum to emit 5.5 kilograms of CO2. That are 6 or 7 because the process of the heat process consume natural gas too. Okay, gray hydrogen is a big emitter of CO2 to the atmosphere. It's possible to produce black hydrogen too. Black hydrogen is the same that gray hydrogen, but the CO2 produced in the process is sequestered and stored. Obviously, blue hydrogen is more expensive than gray hydrogen because it's necessary to store this CO2.
But I'm hearing it from your laptop now.
Excuse me? Okay? Can you hear to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Finally, the third way to produce green hydrogen is to produce green hydrogen. To produce green hydrogen, it's necessary to split one molecule of water with renewable energy. Renewable energy that provide from solar, wind, or hydro energy. This process don't emit CO2. Okay, if you produce hydrogen by electrolysis with normal electricity, you have a gray hydrogen with less emission than splitting CO2, but that's splitting methane, but is not green. Green is produce hydrogen splitting water molecule with renewable energy. Okay, there are another form that we explain to obtain green hydrogen that we speak in a few minutes. Okay. Well, to produce a kilogram of green hydrogen, it's necessary to use about 45 kilowatt hour of electricity. As you remember, Europe will have excess of energy for 3,350 terawatt hour by year. Okay, if Europe will use this excess of electricity to produce hydrogen, could produce 75 million tons hydrogen by year. Okay. Well, but Europe wants to replace all these fossil fuels in 2050. This supposed to replace the 742 million tons of oil that dedicates to mobility and the 1/2 of 472 of natural gas that use the industry. For substitute all these fossil fuels, Europe will need 300 million tons of hydrogen by year. The question is, where can this hydrogen be produced? If you, I will leave this question in the air, and I will answer this question at the end of my presentation. Okay? Well, this slide is very interesting because represent all the economy of hydrogen. We can produce green hydrogen, as we can speak, with renewable electricity. Putting this electricity in an electrolyzer. Okay. in this electrolyzer, we will lose the 50% of the energy that we use. The efficiency of electrolyzer is only the 85%. But we will have energy in form of hydrogen in a grid, a virtual grid, that in this grid we can introduce two blue hydrogen that we can produce sequestrating the CO2. We can obtain hydrogen of biomass of biomethane. The next speaker will explain to you how to obtain hydrogen by this method. And finally, we can produce the energy in other countries and we can import this hydrogen. These are all the forms to introduce hydrogen, green hydrogen, or hydrogen without emission of CO2 in our network, virtual network. One characteristic of hydrogen is that it's not necessary to synchronize the production and the utilization. The hydrogen could be storage, and we can use this hydrogen when we need this hydrogen, not in the moment that we are producing this hydrogen. Well, in red, you can see two mechanisms to introduce quickly the hydrogen in the economy. One is the methanation. With the hydrogen, join the hydrogen with CO2, we can produce synthetic methane that we can introduce in the traditional gas grid and mix this synthetic methane with natural gas. The mixer will be less contaminant that only use natural gas. Another solution is to blend the hydrogen directly with natural gas in the gas grid. This, in my opinion, will be a solution for the next 10 years, no more. In the future, the hydrogen will be used alone, not using the network, the gas grid network, because hydrogen will have their own system to transmission. Okay. The hydrogen will be used in buildings to produce electricity and heat for the buildings, can be used in the industry to substitute the natural gas in the processes of high temperature, and like raw material in the industry, for example, to production of ammoniac or fertilizant. And the most important, hydrogen could solve in the future all the problem on transport. Okay, we explain how in a few minutes. And finally, there are another function of hydrogen, very important, that can be a regulator on the electrical system. For example, if we have 1 kilowatt hour here of renewable energy produced in the night. In the night, there are not demand, and we will lose this kilowatt hour of renewable energy, wind energy, for example. If we put this kilowatt hour in the electrolyzer, we obtain 0.85 kilowatt hour of hydrogen, energy in form of hydrogen, that we can put inside the storage. In the peak of demand, we can move this hydrogen from the storage to a fuel cell. And this fuel cell is opposite to electrolyzer, will transform this 0.85 kilowatt hour of hydrogen in electricity another time. The efficiency of this fuel cell could be 60% approximately. Finally, we will have 70% of the 1 kilowatt hour. We will have 0.7 kilowatt hour, but not in the night. We will have in the peak. And in the peak, the price of this kilowatt hour is 4 times the price in the valley. Okay, we have saved the 70% of the renewable electricity with this mechanism. Okay. Well, to produce green hydrogen, we need an electrolyzer. Electrolyzer is a very simple machine. We need a source of energy, of electricity. if we move this electricity from the cathode to the anode, this electricity cross the water and split the molecule of water in hydrogen and oxygen. And we said before, we need 40 kilowatt-hour for produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen, and the efficiency of this machine is 85%. The fuel cell is the opposite to the electrolyzer machine. It is the center of the economy of hydrogen. The economy of hydrogen needs the fuel cell to recover or to transform this hydrogen in other sources of energy. In the fuel cell, we start hydrogen to the anode. This hydrogen is splitting in an electron that is moving for the electrical circuit, and the proton cross the electrolyte to the cathode. In the cathode, the proton is joining with electron and with a molecule of oxygen that arrive from the cathode and produce vapor of water. To introduce hydrogen, and you produce electricity, and you obtain vapor of water. And there are heat in the process. It's an isothermic process. Okay. There are 5 types of fuel cells. We can join this fuel cell into 2 types: fuel cells of a low temperature, a fuel cell of high temperature. The more common fuel cell is the membrane fuel cell. To the left of the screen. This fuel cell works 100 centigrades of temperature, and the electrolyte is a synthetic membrane and has the very low efficiency, only 40%. Okay. In this group, we have alkaline fuel cells. The alkaline fuel cells use
I will write them in. I will write them in.
Use phosphate hydroxide like electrolyte and work on 150 to 100 centigrade. And finally, in this group, there are the phosphoric acid fuel cell. That the electrolyte is phosphoric acid, as the name said, and work on 250 centigrades. Okay, these fuel cells are used in mobility and for supply buildings normally, and small industries. And in the right of the screen, in the up and right of the screen, we have the high temperature fuel cells. The more common are the molten carbonates here that works at 700 centigrade and have an efficiency of 60%. And there are solid oxide fuel that work on 900 to 1000 grade centigrade and have more of 60% of efficiency. These 2 types of fuel cell can be used like in combined cycles. With the heat, we can put this heat in a turbine, in a steam turbine, and produce an additional 20% of electricity. And the efficiency in combined cycles of the fuel cells are up to 80%. Okay, the price of the fuel cell increase with the temperature and with the efficiency. The cheapest are the membrane fuel cell, and the more expensive are the molten carbonate and solid oxide fuel cells. Okay. Possible uses of fuel cells. You can use a fuel cell. You can put a fuel cell, for example, in a car. In this case, we have substituted the traditional engine of a car for a fuel cell. We have an hydrogen tank, and we can supply of hydrogen the anode of the fuel cell, a membrane fuel cell in this case. And we can put hydrogen in the cathode of the fuel cell. This fuel cell will produce electricity, then supply an engine, electro engine. The electro engine moves the car. We need an additional battery because the production of electricity of the fuel cell, the range is very narrow. And in some cases, the engine will need more electricity that the fuel cell produce, and the batteries will supply this additional energy. And in other cases, the production will be higher of the demand of the engine. This energy will be storage in the battery. But the size of the battery will be very small. It's only a regulator. Okay. Well, we will speak about the possible applications of the hydrogen. The emissions of CO2 in the 2090 were in the planet 37 gigatons. The 60% of these 37 gigatons was produced by transportation, use in buildings, and industry. Okay, the 60%. Transportation here, the other 40%, 25% was produced was emitted in the production of electricity with fossil fuels, carbon, of natural gas, and this 25% will be eliminated in the future with renewables energy, and the other 50% is produced in the agriculture and livestock, and this 50% probably will remain in the future. Okay, but for this 60%, hydrogen have solutions. There are solutions for the 60% of emissions of CO2, changing the actual fossil fuel by hydrogen. Okay, and you have here list all these solutions for sectors. Well, in this graphic is very interesting because in the x of axis, in the horizontal x, we have the comparison with more competitive to the right and less competitive to the traditional solution to the technologies. And we have that now, this year, 2020, we have 11 technologies that could be more cheaper than the traditional solution. Okay, and these other are more expensive than the traditional solution, except in these four that depending on the price of right of emission. With the actual price of the right of emission, these four are competitive too. Okay, will be moved to the right. And in the vertical axis, we have is the solution is the most effective or less effective than the conventional solution or the solution. Okay, we have in all these cases, hydrogen is the best solution to solve the problems of emissions. Okay, and in the bottom here, we have solution for solve the problem, but it's not by the moment the best solution. What will work? Hydrogen will work moving these solutions to the up to be the most competitive solution, and to the right to be the more competitive. Only if hydrogen is the optimal solution and the more competitive, will be possible to implement hydrogen solution. It's the same that the renewables. Renewables 20 years ago were possible to install renewables, but were not competitive. Only when renewable was the best and the more competitive solution, the installation around the world have explosioning, because it's the more competitive and the more the best solution. Okay. Well, we will speak about the cost of green hydrogen. For now, to produce 1 kilogram of green hydrogen has a cost about $5–6 by kilogram, and we need the same price to put this hydrogen in the place to use it. We have a final price of $13 or $16 by kilogram. The situation is changing quickly because with the reduction of the price of electricity, the cost of hydrogen will be in the next 2-3 years between $1 to $3 by kilogram. And the price to move it will put the price in the end user in between $3 or $7 by kilogram. Okay. As you remember, the 1 kilogram of hydrogen has 3.5 more energy than 1 kilogram of petrol. And the price of petrol now in Europe, without taxes, is approximately 1.2 euros. 1.2 euros multiplied by 3.5 is 4.2 euros. With a price between $3 by kilogram or $4 by kilogram, hydrogen will be competitive in relation with petrol now. Okay? You have all the solutions that we explained in 2 slides before put here, and there are the forecasts when these technologies with hydrogen will be competitive. For example, to production ammonia, methanol, and refining in industry, green hydrogen is competitive now because it's cheaper than gray hydrogen plus a cost of right of emissions. And for use in regional trains, for example, in 2-3 years, in 2025, will be competitive, or for heavy-duty trucks or for medium-duty vans for these applications, okay? And in 2050, all the solutions with hydrogen, except one, the use of small cars in urban regions, will be possible. Hydrogen will be competitive in all the solutions in 2050. Will be the best solution and the more competitive solution. And we can say that hydrogen will be the solution to emissions in the next 30 years. Well, there are quickly some examples of realities of solution with hydrogen. This is a trend produced by Alstom, a French producer of trains that is moving by a region of Germany, Saxony exactly, and solve the problem of the cities of Saxony, the connection of the cities of Saxony. There are 14 units moving by 14 units of fuel cells moving by this area. Okay. There are 2 examples of trucks produced in the right by Hyundai. Hyundai Xeon is a commercial truck. Switzerland announced last week that buy 40 of these trucks to move materials for an important company of logistics in Switzerland. And in the bottom you have the Kenworth T680. Kenworth is probably the most commercial truck in the United States, and this is the version of fuel cell that is commercial now. Mercedes and Toyota have announced their products with fuel cell trucks and recently too. This is a chart made by Toyota, Hyundai, and Daimler Mercedes, explaining the future of the mobility. This chart says that you need to move less than 5 tons in a range of less of 100 kilometers. The solution to mobility will be small cars and urban mobility. Probably you will move this wave with a solution with batteries. If you need to move in distance between 100 kilometers and 5,000 kilometers in the future, and you need to move cars between 5 tons and 5,000 tons with trucks, with buses, or with trains, the solution will be a fuel cell. And finally, if you need more distance and more weight by boat or by plane, you will need probably synthetic fuels produced by hydrogen. This is the forecast of mobility of these 3 companies. Well, finally, we are finishing. Only say what is the geography of energy and will be in the next future. In the beginning of this century, The main consumer of energy was United States, with 2,200 million tons of oil equivalent, and the second was European Union. China and Africa was third and fourth. Okay. The forecast of the Agency of Energy, the International Agency of Energy, is that in 2040, the main producer and consumer of energy will be China, with 3,800 million tons of oil equivalent. The second will remain United States, with the same consumption than now. The fourth will be Africa, and the fifth, European Union. In 2040, Africa will produce and demand more energy than the European Union. Africa will be a real potential in 2040. The paper in the energy world of Africa in 2040 will be predominant. Okay. Well, the evolution of this consumption of energy will be different in the advances and developing economies. The advances economies will increase their demand only with renewables. Okay, and in the developing countries will install renewables in big quantities, but also nuclear and natural gas. The natural gas will be used in the developing countries like a very important energy of transition in the next 20 years, and not in the advanced economies that don't use more gas than now. Practically don't use more gas than now. The oil will be will continue using in the increasing the demand in the developing economies, but not in the advances. They reduce the consumption, okay, in big quantities, because introduce the solution that we are speaking in advance: hydrogen and electrical mobility. And finally, the coal disappear totally in the advanced economies, and will be continued using in some developing economies, because producing electricity with coal will be probably will continue being the cheapest option for some countries. Okay. To finish, I think that Africa has the best conditions to install green power. Our colleagues that explained do the introduction explain about the potential of the area of ECOWAS to install green power, because the isolation ratio is optimal, and the situation in the world is optimal. And 1 year ago, I have the possibility to attend in Australia to the first stone act of a Murchison Renewable Hydrogen Project. This project is the first in the world that built a park of 5 gigawatts of renewables dedicated only to production of hydrogen. Okay, Murchison is in the west of Australia, in the north of Perth. It is a very desertic area. Okay, and in this act was the president of Australia, Scott Morrison, and the CEO of Siemens for this area. The CEO of Siemens said these words: "Australia has potential like no other country in the world for hydrogen production and export. I imagine exporting West Australian sunshine and wind to the world in the form of hydrogen." I think that Africa has, as minimum, the same potential that Australia, and I imagine in the future Africa producing for himself and supplying hydrogen for Europe. Well, this is the finish. You have the bibliography and document that I use for this presentation, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Joan. Up to now, there are 3 questions. The first one is it profitable today to supply generators and batteries to hydrogen in the mini-grid and build new mini-grid programs with hydrogen as a storage? This is the first question.
Well, It's possible, yes, to produce no hydrogen, but and to distribute this hydrogen in microgrids. But the first use of hydrogen, in my opinion, will be in the big industry to produce ammoniac, fertilizers, or in the cracking of petrol, because to build a grid of hydrogen is the most complicated problem for move hydrogen. Build this grid, and the cheaper is to produce the hydrogen in the place where the hydrogen will be consumed. And first of all, the hydrogen will be used in these industries, and I suppose that in 5-10 years will be possible to produce and distribute hydrogen in microgrids. Yes.
Right. So there is another question in the same directions from Michelet Montina. The question is, can we produce hydrogen without the need of storage to produce electricity?
Yes, yes. One function of the hydrogen will be to be a regulator of the electricity of I explained, to regulate the electrical system. Probably the main function of the hydrogen will be to flat the curve of demand of electricity. Producing hydrogen in the moments where there are excess of electricity, and injecting this electricity in the moment that the demand is higher than the production.
The last one, because we are running out of time, is what's been done as regards safety in the handling and utilization of hydrogen?
Well, yes, hydrogen is a gas fuel that has a high potential to mix with oxygen, and it's necessary to manage with care. But the industry of hydrogen is very old. The industry of hydrogen has more of 100 years old. The green hydrogen is more frequent and there are companies specialized to move this hydrogen. I agree with the colleague that made the question that will be necessary to take a lot of measures to move this hydrogen because it's dangerous, but we have experience to move this type of fuels.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. There are 2 additional questions, but they will be answered through your emails.
Okay, thank you very much.
We start the second section, and the second lecture is Jose Manuel Dominguez is a trainer. Jose Manuel Dominguez is engineer of the company CEFI, and he's going to talk about renewable gases, biogas, and biomethane, healthy, efficient, and sustainable energy. Jose Manuel, I pass you the floor.
Good morning. Excuse me. I take my I need Joan Puertas don't share her screen. Joan, I need go out your presentation.
Mr. Juan, stop it. Okay, good.
Okay. No, this is not. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
See?
Perfect.
Yes,
Well,
we can see your screen.
well, thank you. Well, first, thank you for counting with me for carry out this activity. I think maybe interesting for you. Well, before start, I explain briefly the content of this session. In this session, we will talk about the energy challenges of our society. What are the action we must take over that, and the different solutions we have to solve this challenge. Electrical and solar energy and the biofuels. First, talking about the advantage and disadvantage of electrical renewable energies, and what is the contribution of renewable gases, or generally the renewable fuels. And finally, we will talk about the generation of biogas and biomethane, and the currently situation of these fuels, biogas and biomethane, into the European Union. Well, first, what are the challenges of our society? All the societies want to grow and develop their economy, a growing population, one live better, have more goods, staff, better service, and infrastructure. But we need that grow up must be sustainable, and then we need an analyzed and no analyze only the energy aspect. We need analyze how we mitigate the climate change, fight against the climate change, and then this need the decarbonizing our society, reducing the emission of greenhouse gases. And we need, it's very important, take care of our health and the environment. And I talk about the water cycle. In this moment, people talk not only about energy, about the water cycle too, because it's a resource very important for all of us. And we have action to achieve this challenge, and this action must be, first, the best renewable energy we have is the efficiency. Do more things with less energy, less water, and then the efficiency is the cheapest and the less polluting source of energy. The energy with less contamination is the energy no consumed. The second action is the use of renewable energy, and we will see there are a lot of solutions, not only the electrical renewable energy. And it's important because I want the renewable energy are usually locals, and then provide energy independence where we use this type of energy. First is the circular economy. We must ensure the best treatment of our wastes. It's not possible growing landfills, no make a treatment of water wasted, and in general, the circular economy allow a better use of our resource, but the expression is we have wasted, but we can obtain resources. And we must guarantee the security, the reliability, and affordability of energy. We may have a very interesting solution, but if for example, it's expensive, the people can use this solution. We need solution available, not expensive. And finally, we need the use of the philosophy of the 3R: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce our quantity of energy needed, reuse what we have, and recycle our wastes. Well, renewable energy, the solution with spread used or talking about this is the electrical renewable energy, the photovoltaic energy, wind farms, the hydro energy, but the hydro is different, but in the photovoltaic and wind have a lot of advantage. Unlimited energy sources, energetic independence, the production local and decentralizing, and we have not emission of greenhouse gases. Is important for mitigate the climate change, but have in this moment disadvantage. They are excuse me one moment. Well, the electrical renewable energies don't cover all service. About this talked my colleague Joan Puertas. We have the heavy industry, the transport, especially the heavy and long haul transport, is not possible the use of electrical technologies. But not only this, the production of electrical renewable energies isn't manageable. The production of this energy don't follow the demand. For example, we have a photovoltaic system, but at night we have not production of energy. And the storage of this energy, electrical energy, is very expensive. The electrical system, the electrical grid, don't storage this energy. And when the production is not equal to the demand, the system down. Well, Not only in this instant moment, don't follow demand, but in the days or weeks, we may have no resource, for example, cloudy days, no wind, and we have not production, but we need we maintain the demand. And finally, the electrical production in a lot of cases is not commercially viable because the capital cost, the inversion. And then with that, how can we solve this problem? Using available energy sources, not only the electrical, and with 3 conditions. Have an energy mix without discrimination between resources. We have the photovoltaics and wind system, well, but we have another solution. Legal security, all solutions have investment, very important. And people, if we have not a legal security, no invest. And finally, with the promotion of new technologies during the maturation period, no subvention, only the promotion, maybe feed-in tariff. They are a lot of systems, but all that with a legal security. And the lines of action we have in this moment, maybe biofuels are fuels carbon neutral, electrical backup for the renewable production. In this case, we have the combined cycle system with, in this moment, with natural gas, and the short, medium, and long-term storage. This storage in this moment is only possible with into the gas network because the batteries are leaders and very, very expensive. People say in the future we will have batteries affordable. Well, when we have affordable batteries, we use it. And finally, one line of action is optimization of CapEx of new investment. When less capital we need, the renewable investment grow. And then one of the lines of action, water, the biofuels. And the biofuels is a substitute of fossil fuels with organic origin that don't produce emission of CO2 net. Sample the source, some are very known, like crops with Jatropha or Camelina, trees of short rotation, like timber, willow, wastes like oil, wastes of kitchen, food, or agriculture. But we have two new feedstock like algae. In this moment, they are a plant of treatment of water wasted in the south of Spain. In this plant, using algae to extract the nitrogen and phosphorus in the the sewage, the water waste of the city of Cadiz, and obtain algae, water pure treated, and we have obtained algae to obtain biogas in a cycle in a cycle of AD, anaerobic digestion. And finally, in the definition of biofuels, there are two types of biofuels. The first generation, where the first biofuel used and had a problem. When we have an energy crop in this site, we can have a food crop, and then there are problems, energy versus food. But in the second generation of biofuels, they are not this problem, because we use wall plant, or use crops intermediate. We have one in the same soil. We have a food crop and continuous energy crops. In all this, in this second generation, we have different types of biofuels. Since the bioethanol widespread in Brazil in the use of transport cars with ethanol, and now the gasoline. They are synthetic fuels. Puertas say the hydrogen is no new, is old, and the synthetic fuels are too old. The city gas, typical fuel in the cities of America and Europe, was a field with a great share of hydrogen, from 50 to 60% of hydrogen. But we have another synthetic fuels like DME, or heavy alcohols, and the biomethane, methanol, sorry. And we have a third way, is the biogases. Maybe synthetic natural gas, or biosynthetic, biosynthetic natural gas produces from wood, usually, or the biomethane and biogas. And are these last fuels are produced in the anaerobic digestion. Well, about the renewable gases, the renewable are obtained from renewable source. But the question is, are neutral or even negative in the emission of CO2? And we have a few renewable gases. Is the we have the biogas, the biomethane. We have the green hydrogen and the blue hydrogen. About this talk, John Puertas, and we have the synthetic natural gas, or synthetic the synthetic bio-natural gas is produced gasification the solid biomass like wood. What are the advantage of the renewable gases? Cover demand that the electricity technologies don't cover. Road transport, high temperature application in industry, thermal demands in buildings, and covered with technologies mature that what we use in this moment yet use local resource, and it's important in like a resource is local, generate local employment. Basically through the intermediate energy crops. Generate, we lost this question, generate byproduct like organic fertilizers. In the anaerobic digestion, we have a digestato, is organic fertilizer equal or better than the the chemical fertilizer. And it's important when we have an infrastructure like a natural gas grid, can use this biomethane in this case to use the gas grid to transport and distribution, and then the cost of this distribution are essentially the capex is covered and maybe used a lot of time more. Allow the energy storage, because when we produce biomethane and inject this in the gas grid, if we have not in one moment demand, we can storage this energy, growing the pressure of the gas grid, or injecting this gas into the gas storage underground or in tanks. And this type the storage may be up to annual, and the batteries, electrical batteries, the storage usual is hour or days in the best situation. And they are advantage additional. Puertas talk about this too. The storage of electricity through the technologies of power to gas. We can produce hydrogen with electricity no demanded. This hydrogen mixed with CO2 can produce methane, synthetic methane. And then in this case, are the solution a backup for power generation. This is the talking about the storage. This is the situation. Batteries are is a solution for hours or days. Other types of solution to storage the energy, maybe the compression of air, or the pump station in hydro systems. But to use to obtain a storage in order of a month or in 2 years, we need the storage we need the storage into the gas grid and the underground storage of this grid. And this is the pathway with the technology of renewable gases. In this case, the biomethane. We have a different source of energy, maybe sewage, agricultural or livestock wastes, crops, in installation of anaerobic digestion, we obtain, in this case, for in one we obtain biogas or through the upgrading biomethane, and we obtain digestate, important fertilizer too, and we displace the chemical substitute, the chemical fertilizer, and then the biogas is for local use, local utilization, with a cogeneration system, for example, engine what produce electricity and obtain heat. Heat we need in a lot of case to improve the anaerobic digestion system, but we obtain in this case electricity, and electricity control it. We can control, manage when we produce electricity, and it's not like a photovoltaic system, because we have sun or we have not sun. And with the biomethane, the important issue is we can transport this this energy long distance to use that that energy in uses thermal or non-thermal, with mobility or heating buildings or using into the industry. And finally, biofuels or electricity, renewable electricity. The smart solution is use both. And then we obtain a system sustainable. Only the renewable solar energy, wind or photovoltaics, have a great problem. 1 megawatts electrical can produce 1,500 kilowatts hour by year, or in the best case, 2,000 or 2,200 kilowatts hour. For example, a combined cycle of gas and natural, 1 megawatt produce 40 or 4,000 or 4,500 megawatts hour per year, or the nuclear, one nuclear plant, 1 megawatt produce 8,000 megawatts, and we can manage this production, because in both cases, combined cycle and nuclear central the production is regular and all the day, 24 hours per day. Or if we don't need it, we can shut down this installation. But if we have solar and wind power, if I have excess of production, we can obtain hydrogen or obtain biomethane, store that in the gas grid, and when we need more electricity, we use this energy stored through fuel cells, through combined cycle. Make a circular energy, and we using our wastes too. And central centering the talking about biogas. Biogas is a mixture of methane and mainly carbon dioxide with other products like water, sulfide, or trace of dust is produced from biomass, and the process to produce is the anaerobic digestion. In this process, the anaerobic digestion is a process like with that use the fermentation, the organic matter, break down it to obtain all this production. For our composition is a typical is 50 to 65 or 80% of methane. Mainly the rest is CO2, and we have maybe hydrogen or hydrogen sulfide. This is a product to extract, is no dangerous, but is corrosive. Nitrogen, maybe oxygen, and like we have at least on 50% of methane, this mixture is flammable, and then we can use that like natural gas or the propane, the butane, burning it or using in other uses like engines. The source of the biogas usually maybe from landfills. In the landfills is produced gas by decay the organic matter in the organic material into the landfill, and if we don't use that, the methane produced in this decay is go to the atmosphere. It's a loss of energy, and this methane into the atmosphere is another greenhouse gases, and then we can seal this landfill, dive pipe to extract this methane. This methane have a great percentage of oxygen, the O2, maybe a 5% more or less, but it's another biogas to use. And we in the landfill, if we have a selective preparation, we can use the product of landfill to obtain another anaerobic digestion too. And well, we have the anaerobic digestion. The digestion is a process of decay in that the organic molecules are breaking to obtain finally CH4 methane and obtain a lot of CO2. Is the origin of the this presence of CO2 into the biomass. And we have there two cycles typical to obtain the biogas from the wasted water or from livestock and agricultural origin. In the two cases, we have a raw material. The raw material is introduced into the anaerobic digester, and then we obtain biogas or biomethane. We can obtain electricity, and we have a digestate is a fertilizer to obtain news, in this case, news crops, or in this case, use this biogas. This digestate to obtain fertilizers. But the core of this process, the anaerobic digestion, what are the steps of this this process? First, the feedstock preparation, selection of sources, grinding. This is need a little piece of that to obtain a bigger.
Please mute your microphone, please.
Well, the biggest contact surface, we need the best contact possible. Then we inject this feedstock into the tanks to digester, the tanks of digestion. This injection is with sludge pumps into the tank. This sludge, this feedstock is stay during 2 or 3 weeks, and during this time, the sludge is moving through agitators. Excuse me. Stirrers. Sorry. And this time is produced CO2, methane, and then we extract it in the top of the tank and clean this gas, eliminating sulfide and water, and storage this gas like a biogas. and they are a second phase, the upgrading. We talk about this after. We can obtain methane. Sorry. They are here. We have a different condition of this process. The digestion. The digestion may be Mesolithic at 25, 30 degrees centigrade, or thermophilics a higher temperature. And in this case, we need a heat exchanger to heating the sludge, the product. And we may have a digester for wet feed is the typical with a 10 or 15% of dry matter or dry. The wet feed have a best production like than the dry feed. But the investment with wet feed is greater than with the case of dry. And the mode of operation may be continuous or batch process. The usual is the batch process. And single or multi-stage digester is to obtain a regular production. The process are 2-3 weeks producing, and we need a few days or 1 week to extract the digestate, the final digestate, or clean the tank and inject the new feedstock. And then to produce regular, we need 2 or typical is 2 or 3 tanks to obtain the digestion. Is what explained is this this slide, and we can biowater. Why is interesting? It's a local energy source and use a waste population wastes or agricultural or industrial waste and obtain energy. This energy, how may be used in form of electricity with a cogeneration, a combined heat and power unit, the electricity to use people, and the internal use of the plant, and the heat is used normally in the same process. And we have a byproduct, the digestate, that can be applied as organizer fertilizer and in substitution of chemical fertilizer. Sorry. With this production, we obtain abatement of emission of CO2 and methane that we will emit if we not produce the biogas. And we have a second step. The biogas is have a low power, have 6 kilowatts hour or 5 kilowatts hour by cubic meter, normal meter cubic, but we can obtain of this from this biogas biomethane with characteristic similar to the natural gas. We can obtain biomethane by synthesization of of wood or lignocellulose biomass. Question important: the biomethane may be feed into the natural gas grid, but it needs complete the standard. For example, in Spain, to feed biomethane in the natural gas grid, the composition must be at least this. For example, the minimum of percentage of methane must be 90. In a lot of installation, the concentration of methane is 98, 97, and then they are not problem. But we must to meet this composition. ¿Cómo vamos? Me quedan 10 minutos. A ver,
Mr. Domingo, do you need
only this is the processing the solution. We need very quickly. We need in the biogas extract the water vapor or the sulfide. Remove this because the water have problem with the pipelines and engines, and the sulfide produce corrosion. They are a process to extract it. And to extract the CO2 to obtain biomethane, we have 3 methods, like a CO2 removal by a scrubber with water, through the chemical absorption with amines, and all these processes are regenerated, or the cryogenic separation. In this case, refrigerated, freezing the gas to minus 78 degrees, the CO2 is liquid, and we can extract, and we have methane pure. And biomethane one is interesting. It's interesting if used like a gas natural, provide heat, electricity, or is a car fuel or vehicle fuel. But the most interesting use of biomethane is be injected into the gas grid because the storage and the use on long distance. This last slide are only the situation in Europe. In Europe, in this moment, we have the in order of 18,000 of installation of biogas with a generation of electricity of 18 megawatts. No, sorry, 13,500 megawatts. And this is a distribution by country. The country with more installation of biogas is Germany, but is growing in United Kingdom, the last years, France and Italy. The feedstock more used in Europe is agricultural waste and agricultural crops. And well, this is the question. The best increase is with agricultural biogas plant. And with biomethane are less installation. In this moment, 540 installation, but it is a number that is growing. This is a map of the installation in Europe. In Spain, the number of installation is very low because they are not interested in the past by the government. And finally, like conclusion, to obtain objective of grow and the carbonization, those two fields, biogas and biomethane, are necessary because are healthy, allow management and recycling of our waste, are efficient, to allow better energy system management and security with less investment, and is sustainable. We obtain from the waste resource, but it's like the electrical renewable energy are necessary, but are not enough. To a sustainable future, we need all in the energy mix. And no more. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dominguez. There is a question from the University of Benin. In terms of cost, which is more economic to obtain and utilize, syngas or biomethane?
What? Biomethane or?
Biogas.
Biogas or biomethane is more expensive. Biomethane for syngas are from thermochemical process is very expensive in this moment. But the biomethane versus the biogas is cheaper than the biomethane. But the biomethane have application that no is possible for biogas.
I think you
inject into the gas grid, transport long distance, and specific utilization.
Thank you. Any additional question, please? Okay. If there is no any additional question, people are asking us if they can get the materials. You can get this material, these slides, after the lectures on the ECREEE webpage. And
yes.
Another question, is possible to develop this system in Africa? Please, I look at this chat. I'm trying to recover the questions. Is this possible to develop this system in Africa? This is the first question, and there are another two questions. Okay, so it's possible to develop this system in Africa, please?
The biogas is in this moment possible and economic interesting. From in the great population to use the water waste the treatment of water. And in the rural areas to obtain waste, agricultural or feedstock waste, and obtain biogas. In this question, in India, they are micro biogas installation to obtain gas to cooking or obtain domestic hot water with the waste of people, and in this case dairy farms, etc. In Brazil, they are plants of biogas. I remember, in the north of Brazil, but it's possible. We need to obtain what are the resources we have, the size of plant, and then calculate and obtain the finance of this project.
Yes, another question is, knowing that the storage is highly disastrous, what is the possibility of utilizing these renewable gases if collected in running charging stations for electric vehicles?
For electrical?
Vehicles.
Vehicles. If we can obtain biomethane, is a solution not expensive, because a gasoline car only with a short or little change can use the biomethane.
Right.
Don't need more than a tank of I think 30 liters of capacity, and the piping to the admission of engine, and no more. It's the same car. In Argentina, they are 1,300,000 cars, gasoline cars, running with natural gas, and the biomethane is like a natural gas. In India have 2 million of cars. Pakistan, I have, I think they are 1 million of cars. In heavy transport, in Europe and USA, a lot of trucks use natural gas, and then can use the biomethane.
Yes. Another question is, why in sub-Saharan Africa waste are not used to produce electricity? Is it because of the cost?
Can you repeat me, please?
Yes. The question is, why in sub-Saharan Africa waste, biodegradable or wastewater, are not used to produce electricity? Is it because of the cost?
If we have waste, we can produce biogas. Why not in the sub-Sahara? I don't know what. This process needs water, it's true, but this process obtain water treated and then not for human use, but for use in the agriculture. And the case, I don't know, need investment, and then we need money. Maybe
Yes.
a question.
Another question, combining cost and efficiency, which is best recommended? Cost and efficiency.
Cost and biogas or biomethane,
Yeah.
or gas or biogas or electricity.
Both, but are taking into account cost, the both factors, cost and efficiency.
Depending of the utilization. They are use typical electric, and then a photovoltaic plant is the best in cost and in efficiency. But if we have waste, for example, in grid population in cities, the production of biogas, for example, in Europe, in this moment, I think all know, but mainly all the water waste plants have a biogas production. And then we can use the biogas to the own electrical consumer of this plant and export part of this production. But cost efficiency depending of utilization and sectors.
Right, so the last question is how to get donors to take an interest in this renewable energy project.
Who have an interest?
Yes. Talking about donors, yes.
I don't know what is important in this case are intensive in capital. Is very important a legal security in this, because are not investment with payback of 1 year or 2 years, are investment with paybacks of 10 years, 12 years. And then interest, if they are legal security, and consumers, physical consumers, of course, and we need a good demand and use, final use are possible. We have a lot of groups, energetic groups in Europe, maybe interesting in this installation, in this investment.
Okay, there are 3 additional questions, but it's not possible to answer them. So you can get the answers through your emails. The trainer will be sending to you the questions associated with the risk of explosion, associated with methane, because they said that is highly explosive. And the other one is the impact of this project on our populations. What are the steps of designing biodigester installation? So these questions will be answered by you through the emails of people who were asking these questions. Okay, So I think for finishing, I hope you have learned a lot from this presentation, from these both presentations. They were, I think, very interesting, and they were focused on current and relevant issues of our societies. And let's keep working. Thank you very much for your participations, and see you tomorrow at the same today's time. Okay? There is no any confusion, at the same hour of today. So see you tomorrow, and have a good day to everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, all of you, for this first day.
Thank you very much.
You are finished now?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you very much.
The session will start at 10.
Thank you very much.
That's universal time. So you have to follow the protocol.
Thank you very much.
And yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yes, we will send, after the training, we will send all the training materials. The training material will be available in ECREEE web page. So, yeah, don't worry for that. Okay, thank you again, and see you tomorrow at 10 Universal Time.
See you to everybody. Everybody's invited.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. Tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. But I would like to know what's the exact time, because I kept checking from 9. I checked 9 a.m. I tried logging 10 a.m. Lagos, Nigeria. What's the exact time?
For Nigeria, I think it's 11 a.m.
Okay, it's 11. Okay, that was the
Yeah.
mistake I made. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Sorry. Madam, well done. I bet we're saying crypto pastor.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you guys tomorrow.
Move up.